The Star Wars fan base really seems to be the most kind of toxic at the moment.
What would freak the fans out, and not in a good way? When you associate Thor, a big hero, the last thing a Thor fan really wants to see is the word love.
Oh my God, Empire would have gotten roasted. If you look at the criticisms of The Last Jedi, can you imagine what they would have said?
And 2-year-olds are very governed by emotion. They're completely incapable of negotiation. They're egotistical in that their worldview dominates.
There's a series out right now that has done what would seem to be the impossible, crafting a well-thought and engaging show with constantly changing tones that still don't feel jarring, flipping audiences' notions on established characters without simply deconstructing them, and utilizing cinematography that perfectly balances mood and atmosphere with technique and a well-photographed end product. That show is Only Murders in the Building. It's a mystery series starring Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez as three unlikely friends brought together through a shared love of detective work and a string of murders that only happen in their apartment building. Only Murders in the Building takes 3 issues that seem to plague modern cinema and shows that in the right hands, they can be used to great effect. So let's examine just how they do that. First is the issue of inconsistent tones, which is something that, for most recently, Thor Love and Thunder had caught a lot of criticism. However, unlike Thor, Only Murders in the Building gets this right by keeping the genre firmly in place. So even though dramatic scenes may have moments of comedy and vice versa, the visual tone of the show remains the same. Dark, moody scenes remain as such despite the presence of humor. Only Murders in the Building doesn't change the style of filming to match the sense of humor in any given scene. The series is first and foremost a dramatic mystery that handles themes like loss of purpose, familial estrangement, and even death, and it doesn't make jokes at the expense of these emotional moments. Now, this isn't to say that the show wasn't funny. It's absolutely hilarious, even just in Steve Martin's original concept.
I just had this thought over 10 years ago, and it was for 3 older guys who live in a building in New York who just realize they have a common interest in solving crime. But because they're old, they don't want to go outside the building because it's too tiring, so they decide they'll just do Only Murders in the Building.
But because it stays within the mystery genre and provides a consistent visual tone, it's able to switch effortlessly between moments of suspense, pathos, and humor. The second issue Only Murders tackles with ease is changing audiences' perspective on the existing characters. This is one of the most difficult issues to take on and one that very few can get right. And this series absolutely does get it right. Without giving away any plot points, Season 2's 3rd episode takes a character of Bunny Folger, a bit of a thorn in the side of our leading trio, and completely flips her around into being one of the most sympathetic characters in the show. How it succeeds in doing this, when films like The Last Jedi are unable to, is that it keeps actions of the character consistent while giving new insight into their motivations for the actions. In this episode, Bunny is not suddenly portrayed as warm and friendly, but she's kept exactly the same. She's cantankerous and foul-mouthed. As a result, the audience is introduced to new aspects of her character and scenes that are recontextualizing events from her points of view, and it feels like a natural addition instead of a pointless deconstruction and vandalization of everything that had been previously established. The last issue that Only Murders in the Building handles really well, that many modern shows seem to struggle with increasingly, is striking the right balance between creating mood and atmosphere with technique and an end result that actually looks visually appealing. So let's take a look at an example from Season 2 where we have a nighttime scene between Oliver and his son. It visually strikes the right mood with the bedside lamp used as a practical light. However, this is not all that went into the lighting composition for the scene, as there is a soft, motivated key light just to the side of this lamp, creating the illusion that the table lamp is actually lighting the scene. It's a beautifully done effect, and if you carefully look, you can actually see how they pulled it off. Pay attention to Oliver's face. There's a shadow pointing downward, indicating that the table lamp is actually not the thing that's lighting the scene, because that would be creating shadows pointing upward. This is probably where Obi-Wan Kenobi would have just turned on the lamp and called it a day.
I'm sorry.
Only Murders also employs some very clever camera tricks that are both stylish and feel natural to the scenes. Here we have a fairly simple move, starting from the apartment's doorway, pushing in, and then dollying around the three protagonists to land on Charles as he is left by his two friends. This move works from both a practical and a motivational standpoint, as it follows both the actions of the characters and the flow of their conversation. This allows the audience to see all sides and expressions of the actors. It's fairly common and an effective technique for dialogue between multiple characters, and it fits within the scene, but Only Murders adds something unique. If you trace the camera's path from the doorway around the three characters, you'll notice that the path of the dolly creates a question mark. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and share it, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts on Only Murders in the Building.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.